Alright, Diablo 4 Sorcs, let's go over one of the top tier builds for Season 8 as of right now on PTR. This is one of the top tier builds. This is going to be the Evade Teleport Burn variant that is using Ball Lightning. There's actually two different ways to play it. There are a lot of differences, so I'm going to cover this one, but I will also include the previous one that does use the Fire Bolt variant. So for starters, let's go over the skills, and that was one of the brand new bosses. That is the brand new Belial, the super mega one, and it just deletes it in less than a few seconds. So anyways, as far as the gear goes, there's actually a few different options, but as far as the skills go, I want to talk about how we actually play them. So for starters, it is a Ball Lightning build, so of course we're going to be playing Ball Lightning. However, Ball Lightning acts kind of as a vessel for our damage versus the main source of our damage, because in Season 8 we get all of these boss powers. But Ball Lightning kind of is our damage, kind of, in a way, because again it facilitates a vessel for the burn to kind of go ahead and tick. And then we have Ice Armor. This gives us 100% unstoppable, and it also gives us the ability to have extra sustain, and survivability just goes up through the roof with this. If you want to, however, we do run Snow Veil to get 100% unstoppable, which is great. If you really want to push your damage even further, you could even throw in a Tibalt, but the main thing is you're going to have 100% uptime on Ice Armor, which is excellent. You guys can see it's right back on cooldown. And then we also have Unstable Currents. This gives us extra shots of Ball Lightning. It also activates a lot of other bonuses, but for the most part, it's used for the extra attack speed, which Ball Lightning heavily benefits off of. Then we play Flame Shield. Flame Shield is utilized to basically give us the survivability if we do need it, but it's just kind of there as an extra skill. Honestly, because Ice Armor is up so much, you could, in theory, drop this. However, there are some boss fights, especially when you are in the earlier stages where you don't happen to have 100% uptime on Ice Armor. This is an excellent thing to go ahead and have. And then we also have Firewall. This is something that we can actually push. It's specifically against some of like the bigger bosses to get another multiplier. If you want to run this is excellent. You can actually run Firebolt in here as well if you want to, but the thing is that since it's Ball Lightning, you don't have the tempers to go ahead and run the multiple shots of Firebolt. So Firewall is going to be here because it does burn enemies, and then there's like these two other points that we put into, so they continue to burn, and on top of that, it will also make them take another multiplier. And then Teleport. So our main source of damage is actually going to be like the Evade Teleport, not the regular Teleport, because the Evade version of it will be on a much shorter cooldown. Even though this one's a pretty fast cooldown, the other one, it can be facilitated with one of your boot rules to have attacks reduce your cooldown of your Evade. And then for our enchantments, we are going to be playing Incinerate. Incinerate activates this little like a serpent that spawns in. It activates one of our aspects, but it's not anything that we need to like pay attention to. And then there's also Teleport. So our Evade becomes a Teleport. And then there are a few other options. If you want to, you can run the Shroud of False Death, or if you want to run Raiment, that's another option. You can also run the Air of Perdition or Harlequin. Harlequin will be much better for, I would say, your average player, because the cooldown reduction that you get with this is very, very good. It also does give you max resource, which then translates into damage anyways. But Harlequin is kind of a lot more forgiving in terms of like your rolls to have like kind of more perfect pieces of gear. But Air of Perdition, in theory, would give you big damage. But as far as our gear goes, it's going to be Harlequin and or again Air of Perdition. Then you can run Raiment if you want to group up everything. But Shroud of False Death is excellent as well. And then we also have the Engulfing Flames, so we can do more damage. And then on everywhere, you want the bonus to convulsions if you can. This is one of the best things in the entire game. And then like offensive fire damage. You don't need to scale crit or anything in this build. And then we have, again, the bonus to convulsions over here. If you do run Air of Perdition, keep in mind, you're going to have to get armor somewhere in your build. Otherwise, you'll be too squishy. And then we also run the aspect of the Orange Herald. This really helps out keeping our uptime on our ultimate over here. And then again, convulsions everywhere. And then, so this is where it kind of differs a little bit. So on our weapons, we want to get the chance for Ball Lightning projectiles to cast twice. You don't need a triple masterwork it. Ideally, if you can get the total of it to equal up 100, that'd be great, but it's not something super important for the build, but in theory, it will give you a little bit more damage. But we run the aspect of configuration, so while we channel Incinerate, we get a bonus. Now, you're wondering, well, how come you don't even have Incinerate on your bar? How it works is the enchantment over here, this serpent counts as you using Incinerate incinerate, so it actually works with it. So that's going to be really cool. If they do happen to actually change this, because I'm not sure if this is an unintended interaction, but it works in Season 7, and in Season 8, it's no different. So if they do change this, though, you can just run a two-handed, run a conceded, or any other offensive one. It's not that big of a deal. But we also run the aspect of Creeping Death. If we can get Permafrost, that's good. We get Unstable Currents cooldown reduction. You ideally want to try to get attack speed where you can in the build. This could also be in your gloves to get like a GA attack speed here. And the reason why you want attack speed is Ball Lightning heavily benefits off of it. Plus, the way that the build works is you want to do a lot more ticks with the Ball Lightning variant versus the other version, which is the Fire Bolt variant. Still, getting attack speed is really good because it reduces our cooldown on our teleport that is tied to our evade. So what I have bound to my spacebar, that is the teleport that's important. That's why attack speed is good in the build. And then also getting convulsions is great if you want to get even more damage over here. And then we also have intercom, so if you do want to hold still, you can get more damage. Interestingly enough, with this build, teleport does not count as you moving in the game. So your intercom, if you want to min-max your damage on specifically any of the bosses, you'll see us do a 100 in a moment here. But the aspect of intercom can be utilized on the harder content, and you just teleport and you don't use your movement, which is kind of cool. And then just like every single build, you gotta run Tal Rashes if you're playing with this Sorc. And then also we run Conceded here. So it's kind of up to you. Do you want to run a one-handed or a two-handed? If you run a two-handed, in theory, it is more damage. However, if you do need the cooldown reduction because you don't happen to have like a greater affix Harlequin, which I get it, it's not the easiest thing to get, it's a mythic unique. But if you do want to run a one-handed with an offhand, you can also get cooldown reduction here. Also, another thing that I really like with the Ball Lightning variant is that Lucky Hit up to a chance to restore primary resource. And even though teleport, it doesn't cost anything, Ball Lightning chews through your resources very, very fast. And you want your resources for one of the boss powers, which we'll talk about in a moment. But this is for the gear over here, that's what we're running. And then as far as the runes, we're running Seer Ohm and Igni Cax over here. So this is why we actually want resources, because we want to spend our resources so then our ice armor can start activating the bonus, which basically gives us more cooldown when we spend mana. And since we just go through mana really fast, it's going to be up more. And then as far as the boss powers, we are running as our main boss power the Cinnarat's Flames. So this is what gives us our big damage, that big burn damage. And then we run Kirima's Sparks. This gives us excellent cooldown reduction for our evade over here based on our lightning res, but we play Sorc, so we don't even need to worry about resistances. We're going to be capped. And then we also run Andariels here. So the burning enemies take 40% more damage from our dot effects, and then for 5 seconds after activating our main boss power, which is just with our evade, all of our other attacks burn enemies for 1200% damage over 3 seconds. So this is why Ball Lightning comes into play. Here's a pit gameplay here. By the way, most builds in next season, as of right now, cannot even do pit 100. This is one of like the top tier builds. This and Fireball are both able to do it, but in theory, Ball Lightning is currently the one that I would say some people say is better. Now, I'm going to be real with you guys. I really think that the Fire Bolt version is going to be more friendly and easier to play. However, again, Ball Lightning, this is like the reason why you play Ball Lightning. You get a little bit more ticks with it versus, again, Firebolt. But Firebolt also has a 25x multiplier. But the thing with the Ball Lightning one is, unless you copy it exactly, there will be situations where you're going to feel like you're out of mana. But again, the mana just jumps like crazy. As long as you're hitting things, things are okay. Avarice's Explosive Aura here is going to drain all of our resources, and it's going to make the burn do even more damage. Now, as far as the skill tree, let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. I'll make it this much bigger so you can still see the gameplay here. So how it works is in the very beginning, the Ball Lightning version doesn't need this extra 25 because you don't even equip Firebolt. But you do still need to put 6 points in to progress, so we get extra mana. More mana equals more damage with our build. And then you may need to put more points in Teleport. I actually only needed to put 1 point into it because I'm running Harlequin, but if you're running Air Perdition, you probably need to max this out. So however many points that you need. Remember, we also run Harlequin in this build, but if you play Air Perdition, you need to put the 1 point into Flame Shield or anything else that you want to play. This is an optional skill here. And then we get all of the bonus damages, and then this is why we want to spend our mana with the Shimmering Ice Armor. And then over here, we're getting the extra lucky hit for more resources. Again, more resources equals more damage reduction. And then with the Fire Wall over here, which I've actually added it to the Fire Bolt. I've updated it, and I'll also make an updated Fire Bolt variant because I've changed a few different things. But the Major's Fire Wall makes it so they burn continuously, and there's another multiplier here. Originally, I was playing Hydra to proc the other burn because the Hydra shoots out a bunch of heads. That may be an option too, if you kind of like the playstyle of having all these Hydras. There's actually another variant that you can play with Hydra, but this one is going to be the ball lightning one. So yeah, you want to put points into that. And then because it is ball lightning, this is where it becomes good. Your attack speed gets increased each time you cast ball lightning. So you get another 20% attack speed. That's how we get even more damage. And then we also run the Wizard's Ball Lightning. So when we spawn those crackling energies, we can pick them up and it's going to give us resource over here. And Teleport can also give us the crackling energy. So that's how we maintain crackling energy, as it is another multiplier in our Paragon board. And then we get these things over here. Remember, we need to have a frost skill, which is just our ice armor, which we have up 100% of the time. And then we just get these other things for some extra damage here, maxing out unstable currents, getting extra attack speed, and then convulsions, one of the best things in the game. This is what we put on all of our utility slots as well. And then also combustion. We also get this to get a big multiplier here. It's what makes Sorceress one of the strongest classes in this next upcoming season. So the starter board is going to be Tactician over here. We always maintain this bonus. Don't even worry about the maintenance on that one. Then we run Frigid Fate with Pyromaniac. Over here, you're going to max this out really easy. Great stuff indeed. And then we go into the Fundamental Release with Torch, giving us even more damage over here for the extra burn. Remember, you want to scale as much burn as you possibly can. And then we also play Burning Instinct, which gives us extra damage over here. And then we also get the Elementalist, so we get the bonuses because we're going to be doing Fire, Lightning. And then it also has the Cold bonus here. There's not really another glyph that really is super good. This also gives us a bonus specifically to the damage to burning, is like the key tag word. We don't need this crit damage because we don't crit. It's a dot build. And then we play the Ceaseless Conduit with Flame Feeder over here. So the reason why we play this is it's a 20 X additional damage. There's another variant that you can play with, like whatever your enchants are. The enchants get like a bonus and then you get more multiplier from it. However, this one in theory gives you a little bit more damage. It's up to you on what you want to play, but they're both great options. The other one will be a pretty decent Paragon board as well, but this one, it gives you, I honestly, it depends on how your build is oriented, but it's like 2% more damage. It's a small change. If you want the enchantment one for the little like serpent to be up, having multiple serpents does not give you like double of the multiplier on the aspect, but this one, even though we don't do crackling energy damage, our flat damage goes up to X60, which is again 20x higher. However, the other board technically is better, but this multiplier is higher. But honestly, you can play either one. It doesn't matter. I'll put it in like the notes or something like that. But those are two of the best options over there. But that is the build, guys. And yeah, like I said, this build can actually do pit 100. There's very few builds in Season 8 as of right now via the PTR that can actually do pit 100. Don't expect to one-shot everything. It's not like the Bloodwave Necromancer in Season 7, but heck, even the Bloodwave Necromancer in Season 8 is not going to one-shot everything. But I'm just going to fast forward it towards like the end over here so you guys can see the boss kill for, again, a pit 100, because I upload lots of videos and sometimes people are tired of the pit, so I kind of like try to mix it up, showing you guys the brand new incursion open world content and of course the pit. Now keep in mind, this is with all of our glyphs maxed out. It still comfortably does 100, so I want to say that if it still stays in its current state, you could probably still do pit 100. It's just going to take some time to level up the glyphs to get to that point. But it may be kind of rough, especially for the casual players, to even reach pit 100 for any build. But this is probably one of like your golden tickets if that is one of your goals for Diablo. But that's going to wrap it up. If you guys enjoyed it, drop a like on it. If you're new here, hit subscribe, turn the bell, and also the planner will be linked down below, and I'll be updating the planner if there are any changes from the PTR to the live game. But let me know, guys, what you think of it, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Also, if you're watching this on TikTok, it'll be in the link in the bio. Anyways, take care, Sorcs.